Welcome to State Forest State Park, the largest state park in Colorado, spanning over 71,000 acres. Here you'll find over 600 moose and super interesting terrain, such as sand dunes, alpine lakes, and jagged mountains. This protected area is an IUCN Category 6, meaning it supports the sustainable use of natural resources, but still aims to preserve and protect biodiversity. State Forest State Park is likely put in this category because of its size.
It is unknown who is on the land that is currently State Forest State Park directly prior to its establishment. However, it lies on land that was historically controlled by the Ute and Shoshone peoples. State Forest State Park was established originally as a Colorado state forest in 1938 when President Franklin Roosevelt awarded Colorado with 70,980 acres of federal land. The major stakeholders were the U.S. Forest Service, the Roosevelt administration, and the Colorado State Board of Land Commissioners. When recreation became more popular, it became a state park as well. Grazing, forestry, and recreation are the main uses of this land. While it is unknown whether this was contested, considering it was Forest Service land prior to being state land, it is unlikely that it was contested. No one was evicted, and it was singled out to be a protected area because of the features, such as the high-altitude sand dunes, the lakes, and the alpine and tundra forests, which are unlikely to be found in all the same area, but are all found here in State Forest State Park.
State Forest State Park mentions in their fact sheet that their current issues are balancing the needs of all agencies and users with responsible resource conservation, maintaining high-use facilities, such as campgrounds and over 100 miles of trails, and the large size of the park and the diversity of recreational activities within it keep the 6 full-time staffers very busy. However, the underlying issues within the complex management are wildfires, overuse, and most notably, mountain pine beetles. Wildfires are an issue in this area mostly because of the drought that the American Southwest has faced in recent years. In addition, drought prolongs the fire season. With this, the poor tree health in this area affects the likelihood of fires because of issues of carbon storage and mountain pine beetles. When the beetles kill a tree, they are essentially creating firewood. These issues can be solved by fostering healthier forests, paying attention to the fire danger and any flames, and reducing the presence of mountain pine beetles. Overuse is the second direct issue, mostly referring to logging and resource extraction. However, this issue extends to human-moose interactions because of visitor increases and the much more complex issues regarding the Colorado River Basin. These problems can be eased with being mindful about resources, sustainable consumption, and wildlife in the park.
Our focus threat is the mountain pine beetle. Mountain pine beetle burrows in pine trees to lay their eggs. When hatched, these eggs feed on the tree, killing from the inside, killing the tree's vital systems. Signs of mountain pine beetle include rust-colored needles that drop after the second summer of being infected, boring dust and crevices on the trees or close to it, brown, pink, or white masses of resin called pitch tubes, and the protected area being State Forest State Park manage the threat with several methods including removing infested trees and slash, solar treatments, trap trees, the use of pheromone packets, and the use of preventative insecticide sprays. Underlying threats to the mountain pine beetle epidemic include poor tree and forest health and lack of rule enforcement that fails to stop people from bringing infected firewood into the park. Monitoring is essential. This principle applies to State Forest State Park because the park includes steps for monitoring and maintaining resources of the park in their management plan. This is important to our main threat, mountain pine beetle, because monitoring the trees for signs of beetles is a good way to avoid an epidemic. Impacts can be temporarily spatially discontinuous. This is important to our park because so many of the problems that it faces are also issues of nearby protected areas such as Route National Forest and Medicine Bow National Forest. Because these problems are issues for areas all around, if there is a threat like a fire, it can influence this protected area as well. This is important to our target threat because mountain pine beetle can come into parks from infected firewood or nearby trees being infected.
Our third management principle is that appropriate management requires explicitly stated objectives. This is important for our protected area because identifying and communicating the issues with those involved or who visit to the park is a way to help solve the problems. It applies to our target threat because it would be easier to avoid outbreaks if everyone knows about the issue, therefore can look out for it and avoid bringing things that would cause it. In addition to the beautiful views and other activities the park offers, I would definitely recommend visiting it as a CSU student because it's partnered with the City of Fort Collins Water. You can also see this in the park because of the multiple dams that the park has. From Fort Collins, you can reach the park by driving up through the beautiful Poudre Canyon. So come visit and spend some time enjoying the hiking, camping, boating, backpacking, fishing, horseback riding, wildlife watching, especially moose watching, backcountry and cross-country skiing, snowmobiling, cabin and yurt camping, and snowshoeing, and all the other fun that the park has to offer. I hope to see you there.